Welcome back to Nuclear News. Let's start with the price action of uranium miners last week, down 3%. The Sprott Uranium Miners ETF, compare that to the broader stock market, pretty flat week. So it seems like uranium stocks are tracking the higher risk, higher upside growth assets, small cap Russell 2000 index following a similar pattern to uranium stocks, dipping at the end of the week after the Federal Reserve meeting, where they gave some hawkish notes out talking about how they need to keep rates higher for longer. Obviously, we know small cap assets require more capital. And so since uranium miners require lots of capital, they're tracking these smaller cap assets. And so obviously, early stage investors have to ride the volatility of smaller cap assets, because early stage assets tend to require capital. They're not late stage like Microsoft or like Amazon or like Apple, which are in the 2 trillion plus market caps, right? They're smaller cap. They have massive upside, but they're also higher risk and just more volatile overall. And so that's the environment we're in. The Federal Reserve about to turn on the money printer to save the market and obviously pump up assets like they've been doing for the last 50 years. So that's the short-term price action story. Let's focus on the long-term fundamentals. Absolutely massive news out today. The U.S. Department of Energy released a report showcasing nuclear deployment over the next few decades. And so they're trying to rapidly scale the nuclear industrial base to enable nearer term decarbonization and increase capital efficiency. They're saying waiting until the mid 2030s to deploy at scale could lead to missing decarbonization targets and significant supply chain overbuild. If deployment starts by 2030, ramping annual deployment to 13 gigawatts by 2040 would provide 200 gigawatts by 2050. A 5-year delay in scaling the industrial base would require 20 plus gigawatts per year to achieve the same 200 gigawatt deployment, and could result in as much as a 50% increase in the capital required. So they are saying, let's start in 2030 and get to steady state much earlier on. But this is just a massive uptrend. This is where the US government is trying to go. So obviously, we know we're in a current supply crunch. It's obvious because the US government is paying way more than spot to local producers. And so the supply picture has to change for this to happen, right? And so expect higher prices ahead as the nuclear renaissance unfolds. And then we have one of the most expensive elite consulting firms in the world coming out with an analysis of uranium. Energy transition consultants for utilities and power generation industry, McKinsey and Company, now model a doubling of or tripling of nuclear required to meet the need for dispatchable power. Our modeling reveals that the energy transition could require an additional 400 to 800 gigawatts of new nuclear, which could represent up to 10 to 20% of future global electricity demand to meet the need for dispatchable power, that is not wind and solar, by 2050. So just long-term tailwinds for nuclear power, long-term tailwinds for the price of the fuel that's going to enable this growth. And then we've covered how nuclear power has been classified as a green energy, right? Which means that all the big investors can finally invest in it, knowing that they're going to get favorable environmental scoring from the big ESG funds, right? Like BlackRock. And so money's flowing into green energies, right? Well, what if nuclear power is classified at the exact same level as renewable energy, right? Green is good. Renewable is the best. EU leaders remain deadlocked on classification of nuclear energy. France and Germany clash over whether atomic power should be treated as equal to renewables. So you have advocates trying to make nuclear power considered a renewable energy. That would just bring more money into the space. France pushing nuclear power. They want it classified as renewable because they are investing heavily into it. And so the big story this week is just the massive amount of investment in small modular reactor technology. We haven't even started seeing this new technology roll out, right? We're in the very early stages, but let's see what's going on behind the scenes. Small modular reactors spark interest as nuclear energy and uranium gain steam. So check out this slate of small modular reactor headlines. globally, right? It's just speaking to how revolutionary this technology is and how early stage we are, but how much serious demand there is for small nuclear reactors. UK's Nucleo to raise $1.1 billion to build fleet of small modular reactors. Canada's first small modular nuclear reactor clears regulatory milestone, but more work required. USA, Indonesia announced partnership on SMRs. The USA and Indonesia have announced a strategic partnership to help Indonesia develop its nuclear energy program, supporting Indonesia's interest in deploying small modular reactor technology to meet its energy security and climate goals. Finland, Sweden, and Ukraine consider Rolls-Royce small modular reactors. Britain's Rolls-Royce SMR has signed memorandums of understanding to explore the deployment of its small modular reactors in Finland and Sweden, as well as to help post-war recovery in Ukraine. Alberta grows links to SMR sector. Arc Clean Technology Canada has signed a MOU with the government of Alberta's Invest Alberta Corporation to jointly pursue activities to support commercialization of small modular reactor technology in the province. Industrial users eye small modular reactors for power supplies. U.S. microreactor developer Last Energy has announced power purchase agreements for 34 units of its plants with 4 industrial partners across Poland and the UK. There's demand here for this technology. They're already making deals behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Finland's Fortum is collaborating with to explore the use of SMRs to power its steel manufacturing operations. So we're seeing serious demand for SMR technology, big money flowing into this revolutionary technology, investing in it. Just getting started. These assets have not even been rolled out. France, National Assembly vote hailed the start of project to relaunch nuclear industry. First pair in new fleet of EPR2 reactors likely to be built at existing Penly Power Station site. It's just getting started. Massive demand in nuclear power. Doesn't get better than this. This discussion is for informational purposes only. Please consult a certified financial planner when making any decisions about investing. And do your own research before making any decisions. Investments are risky, and you can lose lots of money in them.